Welcome to Rooted Agritourism. I'm Dr. Liz Fiedler Mergen, owner of Sunny Mary Meadow, a U-Pick flower farm, wedding florist, and event venue in central Minnesota. Our mission is to serve anyone rooted in agritourism, value-added agriculture, and rural entrepreneurship. The people turning ideas and raw products into thriving businesses and experiences. Let's dig in. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Rooted Agritourism Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Liz Fiedler Mergen, and today we've got a guest coming on. The end of January, we are hosting the third annual Flower Farmer Forum Conference. And this year, for the first time ever, it is being held at our farm. And so I have my girl, Ali Anderberry from Nebraska coming on. And the reason I picked her to come and interview is because this girl, I hope that didn't come across as rude. After listening to the podcast for so long, slid into my DMs and was like, hey, what's this PPP? I want to start a flower farm. And I'm like, you should come to a conference next month. She's like, okay. So I just want to give you context. When Ali came last year, she didn't know a soul, was from Nebraska, and just got a hotel room, took a chance on coming. And I think it was one of those moments that I felt a really strong responsibility that, holy cow, people are investing in this thing. And I don't take that lightly. And so instead of me talking about it, I want Ali to talk about your flower farming journey, how conference helped you, how PPP has helped you, but just in general, what made you decide to come? So how did you find me? How did you find the conference? Can you walk us through that real quick?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Ali Anderberry from Anderbery Acres in Chapman, Nebraska. I found you from your podcast. I was just searching, like once I decided to take my business serious and not just my love for growing, I started searching like flower farming, but with business. You know, you were the first podcast to come up, and I literally binged your podcast for months, and then I ran out, and so that's when I reached out to you. And
I ran out.
I ran out of the podcast. So I reached out to you and I was like, all right, I got to sign up for the PPP course. I needed more, and then you mentioned the conference and I was like, I don't know, but I needed more.
What made you decide to attend in person last year? Where was your farm at last year before conference, and where is it now?
Okay, so before conference, I was technically a second year flower farmer, but basically a second year grower. And this was my first year where I was like, okay, I'm going to grow more than sunflowers, cosmos, and zinnias. I had only been to a couple farmers markets. I was just selling bouquets for $15, for pennies, and selling them on Marketplace and like tracking people down to buy the flowers that they wanted. I needed to be business minded. So where I'm at now, I'm growing like 60 different varieties of cut flowers. I'm focusing on subscriptions. I already have like 5 for this year. Last year I had 10 after the conference. And stem bars, U-picks. I just cannot believe how far I've come from last year, just growing sunflowers and zinnias, to this year. Like I didn't even know what a ranunculus corum was. And now I'm growing like thousands. So
I remember when you asked the group something about peonies or something, and like I just remember the whole group, someone would ask something and they'd be like, maybe this is dumb, and like simultaneously a group full of men and women, we had some guys there,
yeah,
and we had 2 guys in the room, and literally I just remember simultaneously every time someone apologized, because we like pass around the mic. I mean, it's a good size. It's not huge, but it's not tiny, and it's just, you find the people that you relate to within your farm. We'll talk about it in a little bit more, what I'm planning on doing with the roundtables differently. But anytime someone apologized for asking a question, there was like
which was me.
40, well, you and a couple other people that were new, and you felt like you shouldn't be there. You felt like you didn't belong yet or something. And simultaneously, there were 40 people going, stop it. Stop. Like, don't apologize for asking a question. We have all been there. Like, there are no dumb questions. It's okay. We're all just figuring this out. Right. So I would say before the conference, expectations versus reality, what did you think the conference was going to be like? Did you have any hesitations of like, I'm not farmer enough, or what if I'm,
Yeah.
whatever. So tell me
I
what
mean,
you thought it was going to
absolutely.
be versus what it was.
I was probably the newbie of the group, so I was really afraid. I thought it was going to be awkward. I thought I was going to be the oddball out because I had no experience, like I was afraid. Like I had so much anxiety to go to that conference, but it ended up being super chill. Like everyone was there for, a common reason to share their experiences and learn. And thankfully, no one made me feel dumb about the questions that I asked because I asked a lot. I do remember asking a lot of questions, but yeah, no, it was awesome.
So there's a lot of online conferences. There's another one put on by the Dirt on Flowers podcast this
Hmm.
weekend. It's DirtCon. I am not going to be able to make it to everything because I have a wedding expo and another thing, but I'm still registering live because I'm like, I'll watch what I can and we'll see. But I think that there is a huge value to that. But what I want to create is an in-person one. And if people can travel, I plan on doing now a couple a year. Like I love the January one because it's the off season and we just like pray to God for no snowstorm, and I guess it is what it is. Uh,
Yeah.
but what do you think consuming content online versus standing in a room with people doing the thing?
So I believe that growth doesn't always happen in a comment section. You can totally learn a lot online, but there's just nothing like making real connections with real people, sitting across the table from a super successful flower farmer and picking their brain. I don't know if you can really do that online. Like they're stuck with you, like you get to share experiences in real time, in real life. I
And
don't know,
that's
it's just different.
That's my vision for this. So actually next week when this comes out, I'm going to Podfest. It's a podcasting conference in Florida. I went there last year and I chatted with you guys right after I got back. And it's like an entirely different in-person conference, right? It's about podcasting and authors and coaching and teaching, whatever. But I mean, the rule that they have there, the unwritten rule, and actually it might even be a written rule, but same thing here is like while you are in this room, there is no gatekeeping. There is no like, well, I don't know, I figure it out. There's no competition. I mean, I saw two women raise their hands and they're like, well, I'm from Bemidji, Minnesota. And she's like, I'm from Bemidji, Minnesota. And you could tell for just a brief moment, the room was quiet and they were like, sweet, let's be best friends. And I was like, oh,
Right.
this is so great.
Yes.
And so people get so nervous and so whatever. And it's like, no. And so that's where, we've done the map of where are you coming from and all these
Mhm.
things. And what do you think was the ripple effect after conference? Like in the last year, the people you met at conference, we haven't spoken in 6 months, but
Right.
you're busy, I'm busy, but I'm like, hey, Ali, I'm like, why is Ali not signed up yet? And you're like, I just haven't gotten around to it. I'm like, come on.
Okay, so the ripple effect after. So the conference couldn't have been scheduled on a better like day. January is the month that you're ready to get pumped up for your season, but it's still January, it's still snow on the ground. So being able to go to a flower farming conference and talk with like-minded people about what you're about to get started is just, I don't know, it's something that I feel like I'm going to need every year now, just because you get pumped up again, like you're getting ready for the season. So you come home and you're ready, like you just took away all these tools from the conference and you just feel more ready and more excited for your growing season and more confident. You just talk to 20 or so people about their experiences and you learn from them. So you just gain so much confidence.
My goal for this year is I want it to feel like home for you, even though you haven't been here, you've never been to my farm, but having people at the farm this year. And, every year so last year we had some people that couldn't come that came the year before. We have some people last year that can't come this year, but the people from 2 years ago are coming back and they're bringing a friend. And it's just this really cool community that we all have different goals and we all have different visions of what our flower farming looks like. And I'm not out of touch. I'm aware that my space and my building and my venue and my high tunnels and my, all the weddings that we're doing and obviously the podcasting, the coaching, the creating an
Right.
app, farmers to florists for crop planning. Like I am well aware that not everyone wants those goals, and that's okay. Like, so I'm not sitting here like, oh, you'll be here someday. That is the last thing I will sit here and say because I know that this is not what everyone wants and what's the best fit for everyone and their life and their goals. And that's what I think One thing that you said earlier in the episode, you're like sitting across from a super successful flower farmer. My favorite thing about it is you can define success in your own way. And success is also that person who says, hey, I want 30 subscriptions a week and
Right.
2 U picks on the weekends, and I want to sell out of them. And I don't want any employees, and I just want to do mine. And like that's enough to pay my bills. And sweet. Absolutely. And then we have someone who says, my path to my business is selling to florists. My path to my business is a farm stand, whatever it might be. We've all tried everything to figure out what works, to figure out what thing our customer wants, and all of that. So, new this year, we have on Saturday, we've got quite a few more speakers. 2 years ago, I had a ton of speakers. I had an insurance professional. I had someone from the FSA coming to like get your farm registered. We did a lot of high tunnel stuff, like how to secure the funding, the grants, those types of things. A couple of florists came and just talked about what they would like to have. So that was a ton of speakers the first year. But then the feedback that I got was that we wanted more time to talk and mingle and roundtables and discuss. So then last year, I did presentations. We had kind of a motivational speaker over the noon hour. I did a lot of presentations that I do feel like I'm really proud of them. I feel like I was qualified to teach them. But then in between, we did a lot of roundtables, stuff like that. And so now we're kind of getting back to that in between. I've got a couple of really amazing speakers. My sales rep from Ball Horticulture is flying in from California. She is terrified of the snow, the weather. I promised her I will come pick her up from the airport because she's like, what if there's ice? I'm like, I will come and get you. She's like, I don't have a winter coat, Liz. I don't have, we've talked about all these things. I'm like, I got some boots you can borrow. Like you're going to be fine, Don. But I'm so excited for her to come because she's going to talk about plugs, and that's where I buy my ranunculus from, and my tulips, and my peonies, and all of those things. We have got Len Bush Roses coming, which is a huge urban farm in Minnesota, in the Twin Cities. That's where I buy a lot of my wholesale from, but they grow massive amounts of stock and snapdragons and their own peonies. And so they're a farmer themselves, but they're also a distributor. And they also have that relationship where they do import flowers and, have that relationship. And it's still this needed conversation that's not one right way or wrong way. And how do we figure out what the floral industry needs? Because some things we just can't grow in Minnesota. And so, how do we meet that demand and support each other? So they're coming. Everyone's going to get a bouquet this year. We're going to have a stem bar at my farm.
Oh my gosh.
You can see my big cooler, my like 12 by 22 cooler. If you want to get adventurous, we can go to the old butcher shop and look at the old one with the still scariness. But my new one that has a couple of CoolBots. We've got CoolBot is sending some information to like help you out about it. And so if you have any questions, you can contact them. We've got my insurance agent that insures my fairly big agritourism operation. And so he can kind of answer all of those questions there. My best friend, Nikki, she came 2 years ago and she is a loan officer for Compeer Financial. And so she's going to talk about balance sheets. She's giving the same presentation that she gave 2 years ago. And it's literally, what the heck is a balance sheet? What do you need to know before you even try to go get a loan? And it's not that scary, but it's just what you need to know, like very basic how to run your business. You start with this. And so I'm really excited for that. And then the roundtable discussions. Last year I think we did like 2-minute timers, and you said something about what we can bring to the table or what we're really good at or what we're nervous at. We kind of led them that way. This year, I want to divide up the couple different sessions. You'll have 3 different options what to go to. And we'll have a topic on a table, like a little tabletop that says subscriptions. And we'll have another one that says selling to florists, and another one that says wedding florals, or another one that says just business. And then you just go sit at that table and you just hop in for 10 minutes. And if you're like, I don't want to talk about this anymore, I'm going to go to this table that's talking about that. So I'm really excited for those roundtables. And then we are able to just hang out here. Abby's going to play music bingo at night. I have a consumption and display permit with my business, which means I can't sell alcohol, but people can bring their own. I don't think that this is this big drunk fest. Like, let me pause and say that. But we can have our own social hour here and just naturally turn it into a social hour rather than last year we left and then we went to milk and honey ciders, which was so fun. That was one of the most
Oh
fun
yeah,
parts of the
that was
conference, just to like hang out and see each other. So this way it can just be a natural extension happy hour into there if you want to stay. If you don't, I promise, I feel like I was like, everyone's gonna drink. No, but you can have some cocktails and come back if you want
yeah.
or don't. It's fine.
I definitely will.
Yeah. And so then that's on Saturday. And then on Sunday, for those that are choosing to come back, we have 4 signed up so far. We can do a maximum of 10. We are doing a Wedding Flowers 101 for a flower farmer. And so Sydney, who has years of design experience, that does my bridal bouquets, that does all of my like wedding really good design, she is going to be literally teaching everyone how to, it's going to be 2-to-1 groups. So you will have 2 people with Sydney making a bridal bouquet, 2 people with Brittany and Lydia making boutonnieres and wrist corsages, 2 people with me doing a consultation, teaching you how to like bid it, how to do it. And so you will leave here feeling very comfortable. If a bride says, hey, I just need a bouquet, bridesmaids, boutonnieres, wrist corsages, like, and maybe some bud bases, you will leave here feeling ready to do that. I'm not going to promise that you're going to leave here. This isn't the type of wedding boot camp where you're going to learn how to make all these massive centerpieces and installations and stuff like that. I would say that's a little bit more of the next level, and we're planning on hosting one of those next summer. But this is how to very confidently get started. And so Len Bush Roses is sponsoring that in sharing the flowers, and they distribute flowers to the Midwest. And so you can get a wholesale account to supplement with what you grow. But I'm going to walk you guys through kind of the why behind, and this will be part on Saturday as well, but the why behind the Farmers to Florist app that I'm just launching this week that shows you the crop planning and the inventory and all of that, because my goal is to use the most flowers possible grown by myself or other growers. And, domestically, of course, is ideal, but sometimes you just need to import some roses or something.
Right.
My opinion. Some people might not want to. That's okay. But to me, the brides still care about the look the most.
Oh yeah.
I've had
Is
one.
that included in the conference or?
So that's an extra one, and it's
Okay.
only available if you go to Saturday. So I've had
Okay.
a few people say, can I just come Sunday? And I said, nope. So
Mm-hmm.
after you buy or check out for Saturday, it will immediately pop up and it'll email you and say, hey, do you also want to come to Sunday? And if we only have 4 people out of the 10, I really didn't know. I've never added this before.
Right.
It's such a specific thing. Not everyone wants weddings. But to me, I mean, if you have a bride, 6 bridesmaids, 8 boutonnieres, and 2 wrist corsages, that's a $1,200 wedding easily. And you will make this up in one wedding. And you will make it up in one mistake of ordering the wrong things or getting a bad review. And do you also really want to practice on a bride?
Right. No,
Like,
count me in. I'm definitely interested in
yeah,
that.
so that's a part, that's available. But we will definitely, this episode is coming out on Monday, the 12th, question mark, I think. So then, yeah, this will come out on the 12th. And then that way, we're going to keep registration open, I think, until hopefully the week of conference or however, if it sells out. So we'll see. We're past our goal for last year, and now we're going to start
Yay.
really ramping up. Historically, December signups have always been pretty slow. So we just let's just push it really big in January. But yeah, I think we have almost as many as last year already signed up, and we're just excited. So
Yay.
yay, yay. Anything else that you want to just share about conference? I feel like we jumped around. I gave Ali sort of the questions ahead of time, full disclaimer, because she was nervous to come on the podcast, which is totally fine. But now I jumped around and I went off the cuff a few times. So this is
Well, is there
very
anything else you
non-scripted.
want to ask me, Liz?
Going into conference last year, you talked about what that felt like, kind of what you expected. You were nervous. What decisions do you think that you made differently because of conference, because of what you learned, because of the people that you met? What helped you change?
Well, I definitely stopped selling myself short. Like literally. I stopped selling my flowers for pennies. I stopped like putting a price that I think, was what people would buy. And I started crop planning. I started, taking notes. I started actually planning like a business owner and not a hobby grower. And all the connections I made, like I leaned on them a lot. Like, I bet Brianna at Back 40 Farm or Maria are so annoyed with me because I'm like constantly in their DMs and I wouldn't have met them otherwise. Like you're not just gonna I mean, I guess you can meet someone on Instagram, but it's just nice to meet someone face to face and you will always have that connection.
One thing that we've talked about at a conference every year is just that confidence that comes from being with other people. It's so hard because you want to, I keep saying this, we want to make people's dream come true. We
Right.
want to say, someone's like, I just really want a stem bar of ranunculus and stalk and peonies for my baby shower. It's my dream. It's my first baby. We had infertility and this is my dream, but this is my budget. And you're like, oh, but it's not your responsibility to
Right.
fix it for cheap and you can't. And so I think that, last year I remember there was one session where we were all really chatting and we started talking about pricing. And they're like, well, no, but my customers won't pay that. My customers won't pay that. I'm like, you guys, and I pulled up my wholesale account on the big projector. And I said, you guys, look at this. And people's jaws were dropping. They had no idea. Like, this is what the florist in town is paying to have the flowers delivered in water, smashed together rubber band and plastic and whatever. And I'm not saying and it's great for when it's needed, right? It's whatever. But you are giving them stripped stems, full length for half the price. No, that's not going to work. It's not sustainable. And the other thing that I learned, and that one customer actually said it to me when I was still selling my flowers for 15, 20 bucks a bouquet. And they were like, Liz, I want you to be in business in 2 years because I like being your customer. If I keep paying these prices, you are not going to be in business in 2 years. And, it's like my sister lives in a really rural town. One lives in Nebraska, kind of by you.
Yeah.
My sister is in South Dakota in a pretty rural town. And I noticed her nails were done at Christmas. And I'm like, oh, did you drive to Aberdeen, which is the town that's an hour and a half away? And she goes, no, there's a girl in Mobridge that's doing it and she's young and whatever. And I said, oh, and we were talking and then I'm like, how much were they? And she goes, oh, it was, and I don't remember what price she said, but it was very what I would expect to pay around here. And I said, that's awesome. And she goes, I agree. And I said, because if she was doing it for $30, a full set of nails, a manicure, like she's not going to stay in business. And so that's good. Like you like her and there's something like that. It's hard to have someone doing something like that in, where
Right.
she's at and in rural areas. Unfortunately, there's a reason some of that stuff doesn't exist in rural areas if people aren't going to pay and support. So if you want that person to stay in business, my point is like, those are something that I just remembered being like big conversations. And that's the kind of conversations that are having. So if you're listening to this, the links are in the episode notes. By the time this comes out, it's going to be all over our social media again, emails going out. Sign up, join us. We would love to have you. We'll have the photo booth again. It's just going to be fun. It's going to be so fun and, learning and all that. Thank you so much, Ali, for joining us from Nebraska.
Thank you for having me. Can't wait to see you so soon.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Bye. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Rooted Agritourism. If you enjoyed it, please leave a 5-star review and share it with someone who would find it helpful or inspiring. Your support helps us reach more rural entrepreneurs, dreamers, and doers just like you. You can explore all of our resources at sunnymarymeadowcoaching.com, where you'll find each episode in blog form along with free resources to help grow your business. You'll also find info on upcoming on-farm and virtual workshops, classes, and courses. Be sure to check out our monthly membership, Foundations of Peddling Perishable Products, where you'll get access to a full library of our original course content, plus ongoing support through monthly virtual meetups with others in the industry. Just click the link in the show notes or our bio to learn more. We'd love to have you join us. Until next time, keep growing with purpose and stay rooted.